Hey everybody, welcome to Slurv. It is Thursday, June 9th. I am Steve, and this is Cash Game Cornerstones for MLB. Gonna be rough to give you some Cash Game Cornerstones. Well, not really for me, because the batters, there are plenty of guys to like. But pitchers, not really too many. I wouldn't recommend playing much cash tonight. But these are probably some of the solidest batting plays that you can. And if you are going to play cash, you might want to play on a single pitcher site like FanDuel, because it'll be a lot easier to find one pitcher that won't kill you over two that won't kill you. So without further ado, we got catchers to look at. John LaCroix gets Bartolo Colon, and LaCroix's been doing really well lately. He's really expensive on DK, 5.0 on DK. But the good news is there's no expensive pitchers, so you probably won't have any trouble with that. 3.6 on FanDuel. Bartolo has been surprisingly good this season, but I don't think that's a worry for LaCroix. And then I'm not a huge fan of the matchup for McCann against Chasin, Brian McCann. But he's 3.6 on DK, 3.0 on FanDuel, so especially on DK, a really nice value there. I think he's going to be extremely chalky, so you might want to avoid that in a tournament. But if you are crazy and playing some cash, McCann is all right, though I'm not excited about his matchup. I like LaCroix like 1,000 times better. Chris Davis. It's not a guy I like to recommend in cash a lot because he strikes out like better than 30% of the time, which is just not good. But I think he matches up really well against Marcus Stroman, and Toronto's a fairly hitter-friendly ballpark, even though better for righties than lefties. 4.0 on DK, 3.5 on FanDuel is really nice price for a guy like Chris Davis with his kind of upside. Then we also got Justin Bour gets Irvin Santana. Bour is 3.4 on DK, excuse me, and 3.0 on FanDuel. So really, really cheap option on both sites. And then, not that he's a bad option, but if you can fit him on DK, but he's really cheap on FanDuel. It's Joey Votto gets Wainwright, who has been looking a little better, but still really is just struggling this season. And I expect his struggles to continue tonight. The Reds have hit him well in the past. Votto is 5.3 on DK, which is like, wow, but he's only 3.4 on FanDuel, which differences like that you've got to note and take advantage of whenever possible. Second base, I'm going to keep picking on Colon for a minute. We got Scooter Gennett going up against him. He's the cheapest option that I really feel confident, feel safe-ish about at second base. 3.9 on DK, 2.8 on FanDuel. Big price difference, but still the cheapest on either site that I feel really good about. Then you got guys like Murphy that if you can fit him in your DK lineup at 5.3, that's great, going up against Miguel Gonzalez. Adam will have some thoughts on Miguel Gonzalez in his video, I'm sure, because he's been talking about his interest in him. I don't know how interested I am. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I will find that out after I see what Adam has to say. But it doesn't put me off Murphy, especially at 4.1 on FanDuel. 5.3 on DraftKings is a little hard to fit in, but if you can, certainly nothing wrong with that. But you also got guys like Robinson Cano going up against Tomlin, who's been pitching way above his ability, and sooner or later that'll catch up to him. He's 4.4 on DK at 3.6 on FanDuel. Kind of a nice mid-range option in between those two there, and we always like to roster Robinson Cano because he's just really good at baseball. Speaking of taking on Gonzalez, this is for the other Gonzalez in that game. We got Todd Frazier up against Gio Gonzalez. Not the most ideal of matchups, but far from the worst either. He's expensive on DK, 4.8. I mean, you're always going to pay up. He's 3.9 on FanDuel, which is significantly cheaper, but still expensive. And then there's a couple of guys that are more site-specific here. Johnny Peralta has been moved to third base at FanDuel, which is what he's actually been playing. They're really on top of that. He's still only 2.2, though. They're not really on top of that. So I love him against Brandon Finnegan in the Great American Home Run Park. That's just a wonderful matchup. And then on DK, we got Derek Dietrich, who is the second baseman on FanDuel and not as interesting to me. For 3.8 against Irvin Santana, I think he matches up really nicely there. And, kind of a cheaper option for a DK third baseman. Just got done mentioning Johnny Peralta, and here he is again, because he's a shortstop on DK still. And he's expensive, more expensive there, 3.7. but I still think he is a good value. He's still the cheapest shortstop that I want to recommend today. We also got Cozart, who again is getting a bit expensive on DK at 4.0. He's 3.5 on FanDuel. I'm not super pumped about his matchup with Wainwright, but I don't hate it either. It's good but not great. And then probably end up very chalky, especially on FanDuel, and I don't even mind it particularly on FanDuel. Manny Machado goes up against Marcus Stroman, who's been pitching pretty well this year, but my main concern is I don't think Machado matches up particularly well against Stroman. At 4.5 on DK, I find that really hard to justify. At 3.8 on FanDuel, even as just a block, I don't hate the play. Probably be very highly owned, and you might want to have a piece of that. I definitely like the Orioles as a team. You know, Davis already mentioned, and there's probably a couple more coming up. So in the outfield today, I'm going to give you 3 pairings of outfielders from the same team that, you know, you could choose to stack or pick one or both or whatever. But these are just guys that I think are in good situations, and it just so happens that there's at least 2 of them that I like. Starting off with Cincinnati that I've been big on lately, we've got Jay Bruce and Adam Duvall. Duvall I am really excited about tonight. He just shreds Wainwright's pitches. I think good things are coming there, and so does DraftKings, because he's 5.4 on DK. He's only 3.6 on FanDuel, which is just like lock him in immediately. Jay Bruce I'm a little bit less excited about, but he's been doing great things too, and I don't hate the matchup for sure. He's a little bit cheaper on both sides, 5.0 on DK, 3.5 on FanDuel. I like them either as a pairing or on their own. And then from the Mets, we got some kind of some underpricing going on here, I feel. First of all, welcome back, Michael Conforto. I just mentioned on the expert chat yesterday how I hadn't said his name in a while, and he comes back and hits a home run. So hopefully that can continue a bit today. He's 3.7 on DK, 3.2 on FanDuel against Jimmy Nelson, who's not bad, but also not great. And then also, this is more of a FanDuel play, unless you just want it because he'll be unowned. And that's Cespedes against Nelson. He's 4.6 on DK, but 3.2 on FanDuel. So on FanDuel, I really like pairing the 2 of them up. Only problem being you can't also pair up Duvall and Bruce. But I guess I'll have to find a way around that. I mentioned some Baltimore guys would be coming up, and indeed they are. First of all, Hyung-Soo Kim, all he does is get on base. All he does is put up some consistent numbers that have been good but not, you know, massive. He is the ultimate cash game play, and his price is not responding so far. 3.2 on DK, 2.7 on FanDuel. Love him today in cash, in GPP, in everything. Love him. And then slightly less excited, but not all that much. Adam Jones has been really good, and his price has not really reflected it either. 4.1 on DK, 3.5 on FanDuel. FanDuel is just really, really cheap. DK is just kind of cheap. But some pairing of those guys I think will suit you well. In the outfield, if you're playing cash tonight, don't play too heavily and maybe stick to FanDuel where you only need one pitcher. It's an ugly slate out there, the kind of slate that I like to attack GPPs much more with. Anyway, come on by the Slurv tailgate, slurv.com. It's free to sign up. We'll be hanging around there, talking lineups, answering questions, giving you updates because it's still early and I've got a bunch of research to do yet. So come on by. Once again, this is Slurv. I am Steve, and this has been Cash Game Cornerstones for the short, crappy slate of Thursday, June 9th. Good luck, guys.